All right, what's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us. Shout out to everyone listening back on record. We got our boy Andre back again for a third time. Got some cool updates, new features to talk to us about. Andre, nice to see you, man. How's it going?
Great to see you. It's going great. Very busy. Releasing a lot of new stuff for Edgeful. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to be successful traders. So listening to our users, making sure that we're adapting the app the way that the users are looking for, and to make it easier for them, trying to like focus on their pain points and make everything pretty much like as easy as possible for them to be successful.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I love how you taking the feedback, integrating that. Good stuff. It's awesome to see. Just for everyone joining, you can ask questions as we go. I'll make sure to relay them over to Andre at an appropriate time. And yeah, I guess with that, Andre, you take it over.
All right, cool. So I'm going to show you guys some interesting stuff. I'm going to share my screen here. If you can allow me to share my screen, that would
Yep,
be
should have
perfect.
it now. Yep.
All right, share my screen, screen two. You guys can see this okay?
hmm
All right, perfect. So we added a section called What's in Play. So you can see that right up here. We moved some things around, but we added a section called What's in Play. And I'll actually take a step back for a second. I'll just give you a little intro on what Edgeful is. So Edgeful is a tool that will give you probabilities around certain setups in the markets. So for example, how often does the gap fill? How often does price break out of an initial bounce? How often does price double break on an opening range breakout, that first 15-minute range? What weekday makes the high or low of the week most often? How often do fair value gaps get mitigated or unmitigated? So pretty much like if you have any question of how often does this happen, we'll have an answer for you. And if we don't have an answer for you, then we will build the report. So I'll touch on some of these things very briefly, just so you guys can understand, for anyone who's new, anyone who's watching for the first time, what everything kind of like how it works. I'm going to go to our opening range breakout report. So what this is, for those of you who are not familiar, the opening range is the high and the low of the first 15 minutes. I'll just go to ES quickly, of market open. So here I'm going to our private custom trading view indicators that you can get through edgeful.com. So once you have a subscription, you also get access to almost 30 custom indicators. One of them is the opening range breakout. And this will automatically plot the high and the low of the first 15 minutes of the market open. So you can see this green line and this red line here. That is the high and the low. It will automatically get plotted. So you don't have to worry about marking out your levels yourself. So just so you guys can have a very quick explanation on an example of what Edgeful does, right here, I'm going to show you what this report is saying. This is the opening range breakout report. And what it's saying is that ES in the New York session in the last 6 months has broken both sides of the orb 71% of the time. So what that means is once one side of this breaks, of the opening range breaks, so you can see this red line is the opening range low, the green line is the opening range high. Once one side breaks, you can look to take a reversal trade targeting the opposite side, and this has happened 71% of the time. So I'll show you a few other examples, which are honestly like, this is such a no-brainer setup. As long as you can kind of have a good method for catching this entry, it's such a no-brainer because 71% of the time this is going to happen. I'll show you guys just a couple more examples, and then we can go into the what's in play. Yesterday was FOMC, so not the best just day to trade in general. But here you can see price broke out to the bottom side, then broke out to the top side. Go back another day. Price broke out to the top side, then came all the way back down to the bottom side. What this is also saying is that not a single time has price not broken out of the opening range. So you can expect price to touch one of these levels. It has only broken out of the top side 15% of the time in the last 6 months, and only broken out of the bottom side 13% of the time in the last 6 months. So once it breaks one side, and I know that there's an example here, like this one right here. This is an example of when price only broke to the top side. This only happens 15% of the time. So you're still going to be set taking a loss on this day, as long as you manage your risk, of course, looking for this short, because over time, 71% of the time, it will touch both sides. So very high probability setup, very easy setup to take. And I want to kind of touch on how you guys can use this to pass prop firm challenges. And after I kind of touch on the what's in play, I really want to focus on what reports are best for prop firm challenges and passing prop firm challenges. Are there any questions about this orb report, about what Edgeful does, just at a high level before I go into the what's in play? Does that make sense? Any questions? Any clarifying anything at all?
I don't see anything right now, but yeah, if anyone has any, actually here we go, we got one right now.
Okay.
Is Edgeful indicators only on TradingView?
Yes. So we're building them for NinjaTrader soon. They're not being worked on just yet, but they will be out for NinjaTrader as well. So one of the things that's really great about TradingView's indicators is it allows us to keep the code private. So like, for example, I'm not sure how many of you use Thinkorswim. I doubt it because this is a futures group. But Thinkorswim, you can have custom indicators, but you can't hide the code. And you also can't grant access and remove access from the code. So like once you would have it, you'd have it forever. And what TradingView allows us to do is build them, grant you access, obviously when you sign up. And then if you were to cancel, then it allows us to revoke the access and also keep the code private that whole time. So the limitations on what platforms we can build the scripts on is based on their privacy around the code, pretty much. That answers that question.
Cool,
That's
cool.
good.
Yeah,
All
looks
right,
like you're all good to go. Yep.
perfect. So I'm going to touch on the gap fill report. So someone is waiting in the room. Should I admit them? I'll just do that.
Hey, it's all right. I'll take care of that,
Okay.
Andre. You can just keep going. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, sounds good. So what's in play? The reason that we built this section out is because as of right now, we have over 100 reports in here that you would pretty much need to memorize when they're setting up, how they're setting up, like what's going on with them. So for example, the gap fill. How do you know when there's a gap up or down? And if it's not something you're really familiar with, then you'd need to go and like actively look on your screens. Okay, is there a gap up? Is there a gap down? I need to look at the previous session's closing price. Are we opening above? Are we opening below? And there's a bunch of questions. What we're doing is we built a section right here, the what's in play section, that will tell you, let me just refresh this quickly. Perfect. That will tell you whether there is a gap up or down based on the ticker that you're looking at, whether it has filled yet or not, the bias that you should have, whether it's bullish or bearish, the target, the gap size, and the probability of it filling. We also show you the last 5 gaps up, and you can see here 4 out of the 5 gaps up have filled. Now, one thing I'm going to mention, today is absolutely an anomaly day. There is an enormous gap up here, so this is probably not going to fill. But historically, like in this case here, you can see there was a gap up and it filled right in that first 5-minute candle, touched the previous day's closing price, and I'll get to some more details on that in a second. But the purpose of this is so you can go to one page and see, okay, I'm looking at ES, I see there's a gap up, the opening range, I can see that my orb size is 21 points. Here's my orb high, here's my orb low. The odds, here are the odds of the double breaks, the single breaks, and the breakdown. So everything starts to get narrowed into like what's setting up right now. You can see here, this is the initial balance. So you can see this one, we actually built the initial balance by rejection. So for anyone who's not familiar with that report, it tells you, I'm just going to put on our initial balance indicator here. It tells you based on the order in which the initial balance was formed, which high or low is more likely to break out first. So you can see the low formed first here today and the high broke out of the initial balance. So you can see the low hasn't broken out yet, and you can see all the odds of it happening right here. Then the last one that we have is the ADR, the average daily range. This one's actually really interesting because it takes the last 5 daily ADRs. So like pretty much the high and the low of the day is the way that you can think about it. So right now you can see the daily ADR is 55 points, and 55 points is the average high and the low of this New York session. So you don't want to expect a 70-point move if the ADR is 55. You also don't want to expect a 20-point range because the ADR is higher. So there's more meat on the bone there. What this report does is really interesting, actually. What this what's in play does is it tells you the potential bullish move, or like what the maximum profit target can be if ADR is still respected. So I'll kind of show you guys an example here. I'll show you an example right here. So you can see that today opened at 57.78. The bullish potential move is 58.03, and the bearish potential move is 57.32. And what this actually updates throughout the day based on what the current range is. So you'll always have the most optimal profit targets based on what the ADR is. So this will update as a new high or low is made. You'll be able to see, okay, I want to put, if I'm long, I want to put my profit targets in this area or below that, because I should not expect price to exceed ADR. Does that make sense? I know I kind of just went through some of these a little bit quickly, but I'm curious, do you guys have any questions? Also, are there any reports that you want us to add in here? Because we're starting out with 5, so we can get a feel for what people want. Again, feedback is really important to us. So we currently have the gap fill, the opening range, the initial bounce, and the ADR. Sorry, we started with 4. Are there other ones that you guys want to see in here? So I know that you guys are very big on TPO, market profile. We have a report for that. It's actually currently like in the workshop. We're adding a lot of customization to it, so we want to keep it, we hit it. But the floor is yours kind of on allowing us. You can send us an email, you can send us a message on Twitter, wherever you want, of what you'd want to see from this. So I'm curious, does anyone have any questions on anything I've said so far?
Let's see, we got someone typing.
Perfect.
All right, here we go. Hey, Chuck, what's up, man? Big shout out to my boy Chuck. I haven't seen him in a long time. How's it going, Chuck? But not to get distracted here. He's curious to why they chose a 6 month of data instead of a longer time frame.
Very good question. Very good question, Chuck. So that is what we have here defaulted. Now, one question that I get a lot is, so now I'll go back to like the regular Edgeful toolbox, and you can see right here that we have the date range selector. This goes back to 5 years. And we have it capped at 5 years because this app is for day trading specifically and not for investing. So if you think about what 5 years ago was, that is pre-COVID, like markets pre-COVID. The market environment has changed multiple times in the last 5 years. And something that people say is like, well, how does this work over 10 years or 20 years? And the market does not move the same way now that it did in 2014 or in 2004. So if you're an investor and your time frame is like maybe multiple years, absolutely you should take into consideration further time frames further back. But for trading purposes, going back even 2 years, you're getting so much data from a previous market environment that you're diluting the actual the data from the current market environment that you're in. So yes, the sample size will be smaller when you're using a shorter time frame, but you're going to get a lot more accurate data based on the current market environment. So the 6 month, I think, is a sweet spot. On the Edgeful, like the actual traditional Edgeful toolbox, you have the flexibility to change it however you want. On the what's in play, it's currently static at 6 months, but this is the exact type of feedback that we want. So you like, for example, if you want to change the stats like on that section, we can add a date picker on that section too. But the 6 month is really the sweet spot, in my opinion. The 1 year gives you the largest amount of relevant data. The 6 and 3 month, in my opinion, give you the best understanding of what's happening now. So what I like to do, and what I recommend all of you guys do, is look at the 1 year, compare it to the 6 month, and compare that to the 3 month. If the shorter time frames are aligning with the longer time frame, then that means that you can continue as is with this strategy, with, like, let's say the outside days, for example, or the gap fill or whatever it is. But if you notice that, for example, the 3 month is very different, the results of a 3 month time frame is very different from a 1 year, that might mean that the market environment is shifting a little bit, and maybe you shouldn't continue to really hammer on that report, and maybe you should kind of take a step back from it. I hope that answers your question. It was a long-winded way of answering it, but I feel like it is important to kind of touch on those different topics about why we select the 6-month time frame and why it's defaulted on Edgeful.
All right. Next question here that we have.
Love the questions.
Could you discuss how either like you've used Edgeful to pass the funding firm
Yeah.
eval personally, or how others are
Yeah.
doing the same?
Yes. So one of my personal favorites is this gap fill report. Again, today is not the best example. Yesterday, the gap filled in like literally the first minute or two, which is it's a ideal trade setup when that happens because there's like not really any stress to it. But targeting, I'll show you here let's try to find a pretty good example here. Just 1 second. I'll try to look on NQ quickly. I know that there are some pretty decent setups there. There's a couple reports that I think at a high level, while as I look through this, I want to kind of touch on some things. So to pass an eval, I think it's really important to be very particular about the setups that you take. You should not be trading every single day or every single setup that you see. You should be extremely particular about what setups that you want to focus on. For example, the gap fill is a great one to focus on. The reason for that, I'll just switch to the toolbox here. The reason for that is you always get a bias, and I'll switch to NQ. You get your bias and you get a target. So what do I mean by that? Here, let's pretend this is yesterday over here. This blue box is yesterday, and let's pretend this is today. So what do I want to target? I want to target my previous closing price, which is right here, this red line. Now, where is price opening today is right here, and you can see, let me just make this a little bit bigger so you guys can really see it. I'll actually switch to the 15-minute. Okay. So now right here, you can see we opened below. So NQ opened below the previous close. So that means that there's a gap down. And you can see that this gap down is 42 points on NQ. You can make very decent money with a 42-point trade. But the probability of price touching this point is 65% of the time, regardless of what weekday it is, regardless of the size of the gap. So now it gives you your bias, which in this case should be long because you want to be targeting the previous session's close. And if it were to open above, you want to have a short bias. So instead of guessing, oh, is the market going to go up today? Is the market going to go down today? Every single day, it will tell you whether your bias is bullish or bearish, and you have a target. So that's one that I think is extremely important that I really like. Now, I'm going to go through some of the customization for this report and how you can increase your probabilities of success on this trade much more. So again, if you're trading a prop firm, you're trying to pass a challenge, you want to focus to exclusively the highest probability setups. Now, I mentioned here that this gap size was around 42 points. Right here on TradingView, this shows me the halfway point just because of the measuring tool. So you can see right here is the halfway point. I'm going to put a line right here, and I'm going to make it yellow. So you can see this is just about 21 points from the open to the halfway mark of this full gap. Now, what if you're not comfortable with 65%? Or what if you don't think you can actually hold on to your trades long enough because you cut your winners too short? We have a solution for that. And you just have to go to this customize button right here. And now you can change the percentage of the gap that you want to fill. So if I select 50% here, it's going to be measuring how often does price touch this halfway point or this yellow line. So now I just want to remind you guys, what is the probability here? 70% and 65%. I'm going to change this to 50%. And you're going to see that on NQ in the last 6 months, the probabilities of price touching this yellow line is around 80%. So in this case, going back to the prop challenges, focusing on high probability setups, not getting greedy, not going for home runs, not trying to hit your max gain in one day and pass your challenge in 2 trades is very, very important. You want to be focusing on these high probability trades. So in this case, You can get long here, take half your profits at this yellow line with a very high probability setup, move your stop to break even, leave runners to the actual gap fill previous day's closing price. That is one way that I think every day, as a recap, every day you have a bias, every day you have a target. You actually have multiple targets here, just from this one report. You do not need 80 reports to make money trading. You should find 5 at most, 3 to 5 that fit your personality, that resonate with you, that fit the way you trade, that fit the actual amount of time that you can sit at your screens, and stick to those and refine your strategy around those. I'm going to touch on 2 other things with this report. I'm going to put this back to a full gap fill so you guys get the full picture. Now, one of the biggest drivers on whether a gap is going to fill or not is the size of the gap right here, the by size variant. This is extremely important. So you can see that right here, these are the different buckets down here that you can see. So these are the gaps by different sizes. So you can see, I'll just show you what this, how to calculate the actual, it's not really a calculation, but how to see what the gap size is. You go to today's open. On TradingView, you're going to click this little measuring tool right here to the left. Click on that. You're going to go to today's open, and you're going to go up to the previous day's close, and you're going to see this is 0.22% right here, 0.22%. So now that falls into this bucket over here. So I'm going to click on this, and now you can see, regardless of what weekday it is, gaps between 0.2 and 0.39% have over a 70% chance of filling. And by the way, that's to this point, not to the halfway point. I'll show you what the odds are for the halfway point too now. So again, if you want to target that halfway point, you're looking at over 80% probability of price getting to this yellow line on days where the gap is between 0.2 and 0.39%. So again, going back to that prop challenge, focus on high probability setups. Another thing which is kind of outside of this report is I never recommend adding to a losing position when you're trading a challenge account, because what happens is it makes it very difficult for you to make your winners bigger than your losers when you add to your losers. So typically what happens to most people is that they'll take, let's say, one contract on ES or one contract on NQ. If it goes against them, they average down. But if it goes in their favor, they take their profits and they don't average up. They don't add to their winners. So what happens is, even if you have a 50% win rate, your losers are so much bigger than your winners that you can't pass the challenge. So over time, your losers will just blow your account. One thing, if you can build the discipline to never add to a loser and only add to your winners, it will expand. It will literally grow the size of your winning trades. That's a little bit off topic, but very, very important, especially when you're trading with a daily loss limit or a max loss. Obviously, that's how the prop firms work. They have a max drawdown. You can't go past it. So you want to focus on hammering on those winners and cutting your losers very quickly. That's one thing. Going back to this gap fill report, now we go through, and I'm going to make this go back to 100%. So touching that previous close. Now you can go through and you can see that as these gaps get bigger, become much less likely to fill. So here, gaps above 1%, 1.5%, only 1 out of 4 have filled. So you can see today, I mentioned today is kind of like an anomaly. There's very unlikely that it's going to fill. This is a gap. Again, just to show you guys how to measure these things, you go to your measuring tool on the side, you go to the previous day's close, previous session's close, you go to today's open, and you can see this is 2.4%, a massive gap. So in this case, you do not want to be short targeting a massive move down. This is a day where you say, no trade for me, no gap fill trade for me. Doesn't mean you can't take a trade at all, but it means that you don't want to be targeting a gap fill because the gap is just too big. So the way that you want to think about it in summary is smaller gaps. I want to take that trade. I want to expect that reversal. Larger gaps, that is a no trade, low probability setup. I do not want to be taking that. Then the bi-weekday is also very important. The data across the board shows that the weekdays do not behave the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the bi-weekday here. And you're going to see as I go through and kind of just shift around these weekdays, you can see that not every day behaves the same. So a gap up on a Friday, maybe not the best trade to take because it's just going to continue higher. Now, obviously, these are all different weekdays. So based on the weekday that you're trading, be very careful and very mindful about what the setup looks like and what the percentage of the gap is, the actual gap size, as well as the weekday. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to show you guys one more thing around this. And I know I'm really hammering on this gap fill right now, but I've spoken to well over 1,000 traders now, and keeping it simple, not trying to complicate it with 100 different indicators and using 85 different things on your charts and trying to find this confluence across the board. That's where they have the most success. Where is my target? What is my bias? Where can I take profits? Where can I leave runners? When should I not take a trade? Is almost equally as important as when should I take a trade. So I know I'm really hammering on this because I'm telling you that you don't need so much to do well. So any questions on anything I've said, I'm going to show you guys one more thing if there are no questions.
I love everything you're saying. We do got a question. Do you have any suggestions for users who use Sierra charts?
Sierra charts, I'm not too familiar with it, but I do know, well, from what I've heard about it, there's the footprint charts, right? Or the DOMs, the depths of market. Is that the charting? Are you specifically talking about the charting platforms?
I think he's talking about the TPO charting platform.
Okay.
And I imagine it would be hard for you to integrate this with that because Sierra chart was written in the 1980s.
Yeah.
So I've actually talked to the guy who wrote it. Really nice guys. I mean, he wrote it for his father who was trading out of the garage, and
Wow.
it's progressed from that. The one thing I love about it is it never crashes. The because it's so solid, it
Yeah.
never ever crashes.
Yeah.
But the one thing that is difficult about it is the learning curve.
Yeah.
And I suggest a lot of coffee and a couple of long weekends. That's how I did it. I took 4 days and I just locked myself behind my screens.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think, yeah, I don't know how you would integrate this with that. I mean, I'm not a 0-and-1 guy, but
Yeah.
you know, but I can say that this software is just from somebody who spent 4 days learning how to use Sierra Chart for 18 hours a day. The path to enlightenment with your software is a lot quicker. The interface is intuitive,
Thank you.
and like I wrote in the chat, you can actually concentrate on execution instead of futzing around with software,
Yeah.
which is, for a lot of traders, they don't have time. They've got work, they've got lives. This is boom, boom, you got it. And that's the beautiful thing about it. The way that you simplified the interface and made it
Yeah.
intuitive.
Thank you.
That's a huge edge there. Time is a huge edge.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It's something that we value to the highest degree. And we're actually, which I'm going to show you guys too in a little bit once I touch on one more report for the to pass the challenges. But where I want to show you guys the new design. It's going to be a lot more personalized. It's going to be a lot more catered to like favoriting and bookmarking and making the experience a lot more personal. So right now here, we don't have too much of a personal experience. Like it's not yes, we have favorites here. We have your favorite reports. If you favorite them using this button, then you can go and look at a different drop down of just your favorite reports like this, all grouped together. But we're going to be changing the whole experience to help you discover new reports, as well as to help you move quickly throughout the app and have everything bookmarked and favorited with watch lists. So you can just go click, 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 go through everything in the morning as you're making your pre-market plans, as you're looking to take your trades on your challenge account. Everything will be right there on one page so you can experience it in a very seamless way, because we know that this is not the only thing that people have up. They have their charts, they have this, maybe they have an economic calendar, maybe they have news, maybe they have a Discord, they have something else. We want to make sure that you don't have to have 75 things open just specific to Edgeful or have to jump around back and forth. So we want to make sure that experience is really seamless for you guys. So I want to show you that right after I show you one more sub report here on Edgeful, as well as one other report that I think is really good for that foundational start to pass these challenges. But that sub report, if there's no more questions, did I answer it? Is there any questions that I didn't answer? the Sierra charts, I guess. So I don't know how we can integrate specifically with Sierra charts. We do have reports around TPO. Again, they're not public right now because we're adding that customization to allow you to select the row size and the value area percentages and all these other things. So you can customize it per ticker the way that you like to trade. But that will be released very soon, which I think would help a lot, specifically this group, because you guys like market profile and TPO. But other than that, I'm not sure how we can integrate with Sierra charts at the moment. However, the last thing I want to show you guys related to this gap fill report is the buy fill time. So I'm just going to refresh right here. So we've gotten a lot of questions around, okay, I see that the gap is going to fill very often, but what time does it tend to fill typically? Sorry about this load time. What time does it tend to fill? How often or how quickly will it fill typically? So one thing that you're going to see here is it filled right in the morning on this day. Why is this not? Can you guys hear me okay? I just want to make sure my Wi-Fi is not going out. Perfect. Right. You guys can hear me?
Yeah, you sound good to me.
Okay, perfect. I was just worried the Wi-Fi was going to go out here. Okay. So what this report tells you is how often does the gap fill before a certain time. So here I have selected 9:30 to 11:30 Eastern time. And I'm looking at all the gaps up in the last 6 months. 82% of all the gaps up in the last 6 months have filled before 11:30. So what that means is if it's past 11:30 and the gap hasn't filled yet, you don't want to go for it today. Again, now this becomes a low probability trade. If you want to pass a challenge, focus on the high probability setups, not going for that home run. You do not want to be swinging for the fences on a challenge account. Very, very important. You do not want to be swinging for the fences on a challenge account. Theoretically, it's possible to pass it in 2 days or whatever firm you trade with. I don't know what their rules are. Theoretically, you can pass it if you hit the max gain 2 days in a row. It is extremely unlikely, and the risk that you're going to have to take to get that is you're probably going to blow so many accounts before you can achieve that it's just not worth it. You want to be batting for singles, batting for doubles, being consistent, and focusing on these higher probability setups is what will get you there. So in this case, you can see 82% of the gaps up have filled before 11:30. So now if I go out and I change this to 4 hours out from 9:30 to 1:30, 91% of the gaps up that have filled before 1:30. So now, if you are looking to take this trade, you want to be short, you want to be targeting that gap fill, and it's 1:30 and it hasn't filled yet, you exit the trade and you close your computer because you do not want to be expecting this 9% to occur on this one day. Again, you want to focus on these high probability setups, and you can see these are the differences between gaps up and gaps down. So I just switched over to gaps down right down here. Right here, I just click this button. 97% of all of the gaps down in the last 6 months have filled before 1:30. Again, I mean, this is a no-brainer. Obviously, you do not want to be focusing on this 3%. But goes without saying, you stick to the 97%, you stick to the odds. Over time, the edge takes care of itself. Now, I'm going to switch over to the opening range breakout report. Very similar to the initial balance report. So here, I'm going to go to ES here, the odds on ES. All right, something else that I want to mention, very important about the challenge accounts as well. And some people don't like when I say this. However, I do not recommend people trade NQ on challenge accounts. I think it is too much of a wild horse. Typically what you're going to see is you're going to get stopped out by a wick where it's just going to chop around and then stop you out, and then hit your profit target, or you're going to take your profits too early. You're going to get angry, and then you're going to try to catch these moves. I think NQ generates the most amount of FOMO and anger out of any instrument across the board. I'm sure there are some of you that trade NQ and you love the way it moves and you love the way it trades. But if you're struggling to pass a funded challenge, I highly recommend moving to ES Yes, it will be slower. Yes, your profits won't be as big, but it's a lot more consistent, and it's also a lot easier for you to read and to trade, to be honest. One thing here that I want to focus on is this opening range breakout. So again, I'm going to my indicators. I'm going down to my ORB right here. By the way, for anyone who wants access to these, the way to get access to them, you scroll down. There's this trading view button right here. You click get access now. You're going to put in your trading view username, not your Edgeful email, but your trading view username. Mine is Edgeful. You can get that by clicking on this little profile button up here. So you click on that, you can see whatever your trading view username will be, it's going to appear right here. Once you click get access, they're all going to appear. You click on indicators, you click on invite only, and they're all going to appear right here. If you can see them, you have access. So if you can't click them or there's an issue, just refresh your trading view and you'll get access to everything. Okay. So now, talking about high probability setups, talking about the opening range breakout. The double break on the opening range breakout is an unbelievably simple and easy trade to take. It is also the success rate is very high, 71% of the time in the last 6 months. So what you want to do is, if you want to take this setup, you wait for the first 15 minutes. So from 9:30 to 9:45, you wait. And then as soon as price breaks out to one side, now I know a lot of you guys use market profile. You can, maybe if you guys use heat maps or book map or depths of market or footprint charts, whatever, you see in this case, buyers start to step in here. This is a trigger to say, okay, I want to get long, targeting this opposite side of the opening range. So in this case, you get long, you can take your profits along the way, which is even higher probability than this, because this is only measuring if price breaks out to one side and then the other side. So if you can take your profits along the way, maybe you secure 50% of your profits, maybe halfway through the orb, and then you can take the rest of your profits off here at the opposite side of the orb. Now, we don't have the stats on any continuation beyond, but someone did make a request, so we are going to build that on what the continuation is outside once the double break happens. So like what the percentage moves are in this direction once it breaks. So in this case here, it would be 0.14% for this day specifically before breaking back in. So as a recap, you wait for one side to break, find some exhaustion, and then take the reversal targeting the other side. I'm going to show you a couple other examples here. This was FOMC. Again, this is FOMC, so I'm not going to touch on this. I mean, it did technically work, but I would not have recommended, personally, I don't recommend trading FOMC. It's just, to be honest, it's a little more of a gamble. If you're willing to take that risk, that's totally fine. No judgment there. We all take risk when we're trading. This is Tuesday of this week. Price, wait for that first 15 minutes right here. It's a little bit bigger. Wait for that first 15 minutes. Wait for the first side to break. It's not going to break always this early, by the way. So in the two examples I showed you, it broke practically immediately after the orb was formed. It's not always going to happen. Broke to the downside. There was exhaustion. Now you can get long, targeting the opposite side. Again, you can take profits along the way. You can leave your full profit target right here. Again, this is a high probability setup. And we have this by weekday. So you can see here, go to the by weekday, you can see how the odds change. So right here, Fridays, actually, the double break is a lot less often than some of the other days, because maybe these are trending days. So maybe it's like you can see here, break out and continue upwards. Then you go to a Thursday. Now, 84% of Thursdays in the last 6 months on ES have broken both sides of that opening range. I mean, it goes without saying, this is a no-brainer setup to take. And even if it doesn't work this day, so like today, I mean, it worked today, but let's say it didn't work today, it doesn't mean that next week it's not going to work. So part of this 84%, something that people kind of like don't think about, is they say there's an 84% chance or 85% chance that this is going to work. So out of 100 trades, that means by definition, 15 of them are going to fail. And you don't know the order in which they're going to fail. So you don't know how many of them are going to be success. You don't know how many of these are going to fail. Now that you saw this chart, this right here, you can say, well, okay, I can expect 8 out of 10 of these next trades to work. But then let's say the next one you take fails and the one after that also fails. It doesn't mean that the odds aren't still 80% or 85%. So very important that you guys take the trades when they set up, when they're high probability trades, and you stick to that edge. You let the winners play out. You let the trade play out. You don't really mess with it. I mean, obviously easier said than done, but try not to get your emotions involved and just rely on the data to take care of itself. That's one thing that I want to mention. However, going back to the report a little bit, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, you can see how the data changes. So sorry, I said Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. You can see how the data changes. So this is something else. You can see kind of like tailor it. Maybe you can use more size when the probabilities are higher. Maybe use lower size when the probabilities are lower. Maybe you can hold more profits closer to this opposite end when the probabilities are higher, like that Thursday. You can hold your profits a little bit closer here so you can maximize that winner. You can add along the way. There's a million ways to trade this, and that's why we don't tell you exactly what to do with this. There's a million ways to use it. So I'll show you guys a couple more examples. Another beautiful example from Monday. Price breaks out to the top side, stalls out. You can see sellers stepping in, buyers don't have the strength to continue higher. You can take an entry short, targeting the opposite side. Very simple setup. I mean, it's such a simple setup. You don't need to wait for 84 confluences. You don't need to wait for 74 EMAs to cross and then VWAP and then something else. It's wait for one side to break, wait for the exhaustion, catch the reversal. It's very simple. So any questions on this before I continue?
Yeah, we got a question. Can you customize the opening range breakout for other time frames, 5 minute, 1 minute, etc.?
Yes. So in the customize area right here, sorry, you can change to a 5 minute, 15 minute, and 30 minute. So if I switch to the 5 minute here, and I click save, now by the way, we say the time, so it's 9:30 to 9:35. You click on that. Now you can see the odds are even higher. And this is not per weekday, this is across the board. So now it's 78%. Really important now that you have changed the orb size. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you what that means. I'm going to go to my settings on my opening range indicator. So you can just go right here. You can click the settings. And then now you need to, it's easiest to type this out, changes from 9:45 to 9:35 and then hit OK. It's best to do this on a 5 minute chart or less so it can actually accurately display it. Like if you go to a 15-minute chart, it doesn't know the opening range. So make sure you're in a 5 minute chart or a 1 minute chart or anything less than 5 minutes. And now you can see again, breaks to the downside, then breaks to the upside. Let's go to some other examples. Again, breaks to the downside, breaks to the upside. So now your range is different, but it's still the same setup. Wait for one side to break, take the trade going to the opposite side. So you go by weekday, you can see again, as we go throughout, wow, I mean, Thursday is crazy. If you're using a 5 minute orb, you can see 92% of the time on ES, price is going to break both sides of that orb on Thursdays. So, I mean, obviously it happened today. I'll just go to today so you can see exactly what it looks like. Right here, wait for the breakdown, price stalls out, take that trade going back up. Any more questions?
Nope, good to keep going.
Perfect. Okay. So the orb, I think, is something that, again, is very simple, is very easy to read, very easy to execute on. There's one more thing that, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated reports on Edgeful, and it's the volume and range by weekday. If it will load, I think my Wi-Fi is like not doing great right now. But the volume and range by weekday is one of the most important reports. And the reason for that is just because people, what is going on? Okay. Just because people are trading the same ticker every day, they think that it should behave the same way every day. So the same way that this would apply to like, oh, you own a car, you get into it every day, you expect it to behave the same every day, which is true. It should behave the same every day in the same weather. So if you're driving a car in the summer, It should behave a certain way, but if you're driving in the snow or into like torrential downpouring, you need to drive it a little bit differently. Still the same car, different environment. So you need to adjust how you drive based on the environment that you're in. Very, very similar to trading, something that people don't really realize. The bi-weekday versions of the reports are extremely important to look at. This is one of the biggest drivers, in my opinion, of, well, I'll actually say this. I guarantee most people in watching this, or most people in the room, most traders in general, most directional traders, to be specific, if you're like long or short, you trade futures, I would almost bet that your worst performing day is on a Monday. Everyone just go after you watch this, go to your journal, go to your stats, check what your worst performing day is. I will almost guarantee that it's on a Monday, and I'm going to tell you why. This report measures the average volume and the average range by weekday. So Mondays have the lowest volume and the lowest range by far of any weekday. What this means is most likely to have the choppiest price action, the least amount of continuation, the most amount of wicks, the most amount of fake outs, and literally the range being the smallest means the least amount of opportunity or the least amount of meat on the bone. Now, it's also the first weekday, obviously, after the weekend. So what typically happens is traders are sitting in the week, like on the weekend, they're eager to trade, the markets aren't open, and they come into a Monday, very eager to trade, very eager to find something, looking to force trades maybe because they're like, oh, it's been 2 days, like the markets are closed. I'm so excited to get back to the markets on Mondays. Now, you're misaligning your emotions with the actual opportunities that these days provide. And what that means is you're looking to force setups on days that don't have high quality setups. So you'll overtrade, chase trades, get faked out, get stopped out, and perhaps tilt and blow an account or whatever else on a Monday because it doesn't have great opportunities. Price action will typically just do this and chop around and chop around. And that is what causes most people to blow their accounts. Trading a trending day is a lot easier typically than trading a choppy range-bound day. Now, everyone has a different style, but typically if there's low volume, most people across the board are not going to make money. Now, the opposite end of that is that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday have the highest volume and the highest range. So if you're trading a challenge account, paper trade on Monday and Tuesday, and you can trade the actual challenge account on Wednesday through Friday. Because those days have the good setups. Those days have the opportunity. They have the volume. They have the range. So these are the days where you can say, you know what, I'm going to go from my practice account to my actual challenge account, and I'm going to take these trades on these days because there's going to be more continuation, because there's going to be better opportunity. The price action is going to be easier to read because there's more volume. So very important that you understand the environment that you're trading in. The same thing that I mentioned with the car. You drive a car in a beautiful summer day with sunny day, very different driving than if you're driving in a snowstorm. You need to be very careful. It's not the same environment. You're driving the same car. It's the same thing here. You're trading ES or you're trading NQ or you're trading gold, but the weekdays are very important because they behave differently. Any questions on that?
No, not seeing anything right now.
Okay, perfect. Really, really important. I know that this isn't like honestly as sexy as a report as some of the other ones because there aren't these crazy stats, but the differences are very substantial. So I highly, highly recommend that you focus on this and look at the stats by weekday. Now, I want to show you guys something, and it's going to be the new designs for the website. I'm going to quickly go through it and show you guys what's coming. So we're going to be adding a homepage dashboard. So right now, Edgeful has a dashboard, which is right here, but it's not really robust, and it just shows you 4 reports that are pre-selected, and they're valuable reports, but as a dashboard, it doesn't really do the job. So we're looking to redesign it in a way where you can have your what's in play. You can select the report for what's in play. So in this case, you can have the gap up report for your what's in place. So you can see I'm looking at SPY or I'm looking at ES or whatever else you want. You can see that there's a gap up. Here's your target. Here's your gap size. The status is the gap has not filled yet. Your bias is bearish, etc. Then we're going to have a screener. So this is going to be interesting. So let's say you want to look at the gap fill report, but for ES, NQ, gold, oil, corn, whatever else. You're going to see that here. So you're going to see ES, NQ, gold, oil, silver, platinum. You're going to see each of them, whether they're gapping up or down. You're going to see where your target is for each of them right here. You can see how big the gap is, how far away price is from that gap. So how much meat there is for that on that bone, whether it's in play or not, because it either has filled or it has not filled. So if it's not filled, it's in play. That means that there's still opportunity. And here's your bias, bearish or bullish. Again, along with the edge, so you can see multiple things at once. If you trade equities, which I don't think anyone in here does, it'll be the same thing. If you trade crypto, if you trade Forex, it's all the same thing. You'll just have all of the like Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, Nvidia, etc. You're going to have them all in the screener form. You'll be able to go through and look through multiple tickers at once for the what's in play. On this homepage too, we're going to be adding a quick report. So you're going to be able to select, like let's say in this case, as you can tell, the gap fill is my favorite, but you'll be able to select a report. You'll be able to see the streaks very quickly and a quick little price chart right here. And then any new reports that come out, you're going to see them right here. I'm curious, does anyone have any wish list items for this dashboard, for their homepage, that they'd want to say, okay, I need to have this when I go into Edgeful, I need to have this on my homepage, or at least somewhere on this page? Anyone?
Nothing yet. I'll let you know.
Okay, perfect.
I think there's some on the way.
Perfect. So then something that we realized was that this report discovery, you can go to this price action, so you can see this drop down here. One of the solutions for this drop down, and a lot of people just see this like big daunting drop down, is the what's in play. So we're going to tell you each of the reports that are setting up right now. Then we're building a report discovery page. So right now, instead of having to click on each one and say, okay, like, what is this? I need to go watch the video or whatever else. You're going to be able to select right here. You're going to see all the reports. You'll be able to filter by report type. You'll be able to filter by report category, whether you're a scalper, day trader, or swing trader. You can do that all right here. So now if you zoom in here, like we tried to mimic a little bit of like the e-commerce feeling. So like think about like Amazon. You have your filters to the left and you have all the results in the middle. So you can see right here, these are your chart pattern reports that would appear right here. You can go to the view the report, or you can go to the explainer. So this explainer is going to be a pop-up that's going to appear. Where is it? The pop-up is going to be up down here. And it's going to tell you very quickly, what does this report measure? It measures how often price touches the previous session's close. And you'll see a little graphic. You can add it to your bookmarks, or you can go straight to that report from there. So in this case, you're going to see right here, you can quickly view all of the reports as you see them based on like a little quick bite-sized explainer. Then we're looking to really focus on bookmarking and personalizing your experience. So let's say you clicked on gap fill here and you had bookmarked a couple of these. Now we're going to the report page now, and you can see this is the same gap fill report. This is the same thing that you see over here. It is extremely similar. We are moving this top nav bar to the side, and everything will be very similar in terms of the structure of this page. But now you can go and bookmark. So you can have your bookmarks over here to the side. You'll have gap fill, you'll have opening range, you'll have initial bounce, whatever else that you have. So from this page, you can still go to see all your favorite reports. And we're going to be adding the watch list. So if you trade SPY, you look at Tesla, you look at ES, NQ, you can quickly just swap the ticker that you're looking at without having to switch assets and without having to open a drop down and kind of like search for whatever tickers you're looking for. So here you can see you'll be able to click from SPY, it'll take you to the stocks, it'll update everything. You go back to ES, it'll take you to futures, everything will be updated. This sidebar is literally the exact same as what's going on over here. It's just in a vertical form to the left. And we're adding the streaks down here, the same thing below. It's all going to be the same exact structure that we have. And we're just looking to make that experience a little more personalized, a little more custom based on what you guys like to look at. So I know every single person has a different screen setup. They have different assets that they trade. They have different, practically everything. Like everyone is so unique. So we want to make sure that this is a very personal experience for you guys, that you can customize Edgeful in a way that it feels like it's yours. Then we're having the screener section alone. So I just talked about this on the homepage. So this is that screener section. We're going to have it in a grid view. We're also going to have it in a list view. So you can kind of go through and have your gap fill screener. You can have your orb, what's in play screener. You can have your IB, what's in play screener. And this is going to be the bulk of the updates in terms of the design. I would love to hear if you guys have any feedback on this. If you guys like the dark mode, if you like light mode, if there's anything you guys want to see, if you guys want like news incorporated, I'm very much open to any feedback on this. This is all in a design environment right now, so we're still looking to get some feedback. Yeah, so if anyone has anything, please just write any questions. If not, I'll just continue. And if anyone has anything, just someone interrupt me.
Yeah, Andre, I think we got some questions.
Perfect.
So this first one here, for the dashboard, will it show opportunity by report type, or can it show you opportunity by asset across different report types?
So the what's in play, it'll be bound to what we have released for what's in play. So currently we have the 4 reports. If someone wants us to build the what's in play for that report, like a report that we don't have right now. So right now we have it again for the gap fill, opening range, initial bounce, and ADR. If you want us to build something else, then yes, you'll be able to select by report type or by like whatever report you select here. Eventually, we're going to have all of the reports, but the order in which we build them is going to be dependent on who is most vocal. So really, really important. I really want to like hammer this home. It's very dependent on who is most vocal about what they want. If you're willing to give us the feedback, if you're willing to tell us like, hey, please add the TPO report, please add this other report in the what's in play, then those are the ones that we're going to build. But if there is going to be a priority list based exclusively on the ones that people ask for. So in this case, to answer the question, you'll be able to actually select any report that we have that is built in the what's in play section. Eventually it'll be all of them, and you'll be able to kind of like customize. I want this one to be that. I want this one to be this. Like I want my top one to be the gap fill. I want the bottom one to be the opening range or whatever else. Does that answer that question? I hope it does.
Yeah, I think so. Um, all right. Next question here.
Perfect. I love it.
So it's related to the prop funds. Many have several restrictions once you pass the challenge round. For example, Apex doesn't allow opening range breakout. Is it possible to have a note with each strategies if they are allowed with funded props? He's saying you can start with a few Apex tops that take profit, etc.
How do they not allow? I'm just curious. I've never used Apex, but how do they not allow the opening range? Like if you were to just get long on a breakdown, like what happened today, I'll just switch to what happened today for a second. Like how would they, like if you got long right here, and now I don't know, I'm completely guessing, but if you got long down here and then just took your profits over here, how would they stop you from taking that trade? And I genuinely don't know the answer to this. So that is a genuine question.
Yeah, according to this member, he says it's mentioned in the contract one signs when they pass the challenge account.
Can't. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Personally, I need to look into that because I've never heard of that. I'm not sure how that works. I don't know how they would be able to prove that you're trading, especially if you're trading the double break. I mean, not that you should try to go around their contract. You should absolutely abide by the contract. Like you don't want to like get into anything. Like if you're signing that contract, abide by it, of course. But I would just typically people trade the orb as the breakout, not as the reversal. So if you are interested in taking that reversal, I mean, there's an argument to be made that you're not taking the breakout, you're taking the opposite direction. So, I mean, I don't know, obviously. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for that. So I'm not sure.
Yep, yep. Yeah, some it's saying it might be talking about playing the initial open, but anyway, we'll move
Yeah.
on.
Okay.
Andre, where do you guys get your news feeds?
We get the news. We actually have it's part of one of the plans through the data providers that we have. So this feed here is part, well, the picture is not loading. There must be something going on with my Wi-Fi right now, but we get it as part of an addition to the data providers that we partner with.
All right, cool. I think you're good to continue, guys. If I missed
Yeah.
anything,
Okay.
if I missed any questions, just put it back in the chat.
Yeah. So there is one last thing that's coming out in probably a few months, so a little bit longer timeline. And we're introducing automated trading, automated strategies. Now, I want to be very, very, very clear that we are not talking about providing you with this holy grail strategy that's going to make you all this money. We are giving you the template and the tools to set up your own automated strategy. So for example, this one is that I'm going to explain in a second is for the gap fill. And just 1 second. This one is for the gap fill. This is something that I'm personally refining right now. It's not public yet. And you'll be able to select whether on Monday you want to trade a gap up or down. You'll be able to select where your profit targets are. You'll be able to select as a percentage of the gap fill. You'll be able to select as a percentage of the gap fill where your stop loss is. You'll be able to select your max and minimum gap sizes. So like if you don't want to take a trade with a gap over 0.5% because the Edgeful data says that you should not, 1%, which I'll let my Wi-Fi load, then the algorithm will automatically only take the trades based on your personal style. So now this, and I'll make this a little bit bigger here and I'll try to zoom in. This is on this is a back tested, this is on a simulated, this is on the strategy tester on TradingView. So this is the historical results from August 28th, 2023 to September 15th, 2024. So the last year, just about. $10,000 account has returned 506% for a profit of $50,000. It took 109 trades, 53% profitable with over a 2R profit factor. So 2 risk to reward is 2. The maximum drawdown, the way that TradingView calculates it, is the highest to lowest. It's the peak to the trough. So it looks like it's from right here to right here is $4,000. And at this point, you were up $15,000 on this section right here, or actually we're up $24,000. This is a profit axis. Your average winning trade is $465. So this specific strategy is one that I have fine-tuned for my personal trading based on the stats in Edgeful. So I have gone through and I've selected days that I want to take gaps up or I want to take gaps down. I'm refining all the profit targets, all the stop losses, everything else. This is how it has returned historically. I'm actually testing this with my personal money on a live account, not a challenge account, but a live account as well right now. And it is doing fantastically, which I'm very happy about. In the last 6 weeks, it's returned over 65% as of yesterday. It's honestly incredible. It's trading NQ and it's completely automated. So you don't have to worry about your emotions anymore. You don't have to worry about anything. Like you don't have to worry about taking the trades or finding the best setups or anything else. And what we want to do for this is to allow the discretionary traders to have something running in the background. So if you do like to trade that opening range breakout, that is a discretionary trade on where you enter. And then also for the people who kind of tend to struggle with the discretionary trading, you just leave it up to the algorithm and it will execute all the trades for you. So this is where Edgeful kind of starts to fit into this both sides of the trading spectrum. So people who are successful, people who are profitable, we're enhancing their edge. And then the people who are not profitable, we're giving them the opportunity to to actually take trades through an algorithm that will do it all for them. It's completely hands-off. Once you set it up, all you have to do is refine the data or the inputs based on how the data in Edgeful changes. So if you notice that gaps up on Tuesdays are not filling as often anymore, then you go back into your strategy, you adjust. Maybe I don't want to take gaps up on Tuesdays in your strategy. And this is something that's coming probably in the next 4 months-ish. But yeah, it's gonna, and I want to be very clear again, we're giving these to you as templates, as like boilerplate results. So all of them will have like, everything will be unchecked, everything will be at 0% for like across the board. And then you're going to have to go in and customize it based on your strategy, based on your personality, based on your risk, based on your account size, based on your risk tolerance. There's going to be literally like everything is going to be based on you. So we're not giving you like, oh, here's the holy grail strategy. We're saying, we know that this works. And if you want to take advantage of it and not have to worry every single day to execute these trades, here's the way to do it. You can set this up, you can let it run. It'll just run automatically. We also, on every strategy that we have, are introducing a max daily loss. So you can never lose more than X amount, regardless of what's going on in the market. So it'll automatically stop you out. It's like a auto liquidation type safety net, where if you say, I don't want to be in drawdown of more than $2,000 or $100 or $50, once your P&L goes below that amount, it will automatically take you out. So we're doing everything that we can to make these as customizable and as personal to you as we can based on your risk. We want to make sure that they're super safe for you to execute, not for us to set up for you, but for you to go and build and customize your strategies based on the data in Edgeful. So you can set up these automated trades and not have to, like, for example, I'm sure a lot of you have jobs, you go to work, you can't monitor your screens all day. This is the perfect thing for that. Curious about any questions you guys have.
Yep, not seeing anything right now.
Perfect. Okay. So just so you guys can see an example of a trade here, getting short chart. So right here is the gap fill level. Right here is this blue line. That's the gap fill level. That's that previous day's closing price. You can see it gets short. This is my personal stop loss area. And then also I personally have my profit targets in a little bit excess of that gap fill. So it's not at 100%, it's a little bit more than 100%. So that's what you can see here. Take profit is right here. Then you go back to the previous day. Here's an example of actually where it doesn't touch your stop loss and it also doesn't touch your profit target. So no matter what, I know that there are margin requirements of holding overnight, futures overnight. So what we do is we have it close your trade no matter where it is at 4 p.m. Eastern time or that New York close. So in this case, you can see got long, profit, it went into profit and kind of just like consolidated all day. And then it closed right here, not at the profit target, not at the stop loss, but just at the end of the day, wherever it is. Even if it's in drawdown, it will just close the trade right there. So you don't have to get margin called when if you don't have the margin requirement in your account for the broker that you trade for. Any questions? Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah, it looks like we got a couple coming in. Is there an education or a tutorial section um outside of those inside each report?
For the strategies or for Edgeful itself?
He said both.
Okay, so on Edgeful, over here in the sidebar, you're going to see how to use Edgeful. If you go to our YouTube also, if you just go to our YouTube channel, you'll see that like the home banner is how to use Edgeful as a futures trader, or you just type in like on YouTube, how to use Edgeful as a futures trader or just Edgeful futures trader. And there is a video that will literally cover like everything from start to finish on how to use Edgeful. This over here will show you there's 3 parts or four videos. So how to use Edgeful part 1, 2, and 3, and then also how do the sessions work, which I highly recommend you watch if you trade futures. We also have a Discord. We also have, and then this is how to go back to the actual page itself. So that's how you can understand how to use Edgeful. Then when you scroll down, every single report has an explainer video. So this is really important. You can watch this explainer video and it will tell you how to use the report, what it's measuring with live chart examples on here. And also the how do sessions work is also here too. Then for the strategies, we do not have any videos for them yet because we don't have the integration inside of Edgeful built yet publicly. So once we have that done, then we'll be able to, I'll make all the videos that you need to set this up properly, to refine it, like what recommendations we have or anything else, like everything will be on there. We're also, just so you guys know, we're building one for the opening range break. So we're building one for the orb as well. Just do this one sec, let me hide that. This one's also very interesting, just to touch on it really quickly. This is not taking the double break, by the way. This is taking the single break. And this one on a $10,000 account has returned 243% in the last year, that same date range, August to September. 148 trades, 75% profitable, 1.7% profit factor. Max drawdown is $5,600. Average trade is $164. So another one also refined to my preferences. This is another one that we're building right now. If you guys have any recommendations on the third one, because we definitely want to release with 3 different ones, please let us know. You can tweet at us, it doesn't matter, but please let us know what you want that third one to be, because I haven't decided yet, and there are a few options, but I have not decided. So please, don't be shy to be vocal. But yeah, I hope that answers that question. Anything else? Any other questions?
No, I'm not seeing anything. Guys, if you got any questions,
Cool.
if I missed anything, get them in.
Yeah. The what's in play, I mean, I've covered it all, but if anyone has any questions on the what's in play, I'll be making videos on this. We don't currently have any videos. It literally launched today. Any feedback, like right now you see that it's in beta mode. Any feedback that you guys have, like, hey, I want to see a price chart on here. Whatever else that you can think of that you want to see from this section, please let us know. And we're obviously looking to get some user feedback right now to see like where do people want this to go. Any other reports you want us to add, anything else, please let us know. Otherwise, I think that this section is what you can use to look while you're trading, as well as while you're making your pre-market plans. So you use the toolbox to build your pre-market plans. And then once the market opens, that's when you can use the what's in play section. So it can tell you what everything is setting up, where your levels are, where your price targets are, what's no longer in play. So that's what I recommend, how I recommend using it. Use a toolbox for your pre-market plans, use what's in play while you're trading. And yeah. What else? Is there anything else? Any other questions? Anything else? Any questions, comments, concerns, feedback? I'm always happy to answer.
Steve's just saying he's going to send the recording
Perfect.
to Sabine,
Yes, perfect.
and he says hello.
Hi, Steve.
Does the we got a question here. Does the what's in play section have all the stuff the SMB people use?
The what people use?
SMB, they're a okay, so that's a no. That's a no. They're a prop firm, but Steve's in.
Is he talking about the tickers? Because we have all the tickers. I'm not sure.
No, not tickers. They're their own uh prop firm, but no, it's don't worry about it, Andre.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
sorry.
All right. Okay, is there a way to tag a LBF setup like in a specific period or like on overnight session high, create your own setups, get stats from the past?
So that is where right here, down to the bottom right, you can click on this, build a custom report. Right here is where you can literally ask us to build any kind of report for you. One thing that I'm going to say is the more detail, the better. So if there's a setup that you want to see, if there's something that you want us to build that we don't have in here, I highly recommend that you reach out to us through this ticket, build a custom report. And if you can include screenshots of the chart with like annotations, I want to see when price breaks out of here. I want to measure this. I want to measure that. I want to see when this happens, what happens. That always helps, because if not, there's like way more back and forth, and it like just delays the process of getting these reports out. So if you want to see stats on something we don't have, you go right here to build a custom report, and then that's where we can build them for you. And that's part of your plan, by the way. And as of right now, everything that I've covered is part of your plan. So we also have a 7-day free trial, and you get access to literally everything. You get all the assets, you get all the timeframes, you get all the tickers, you get all the reports, you get the what's in play, you get the toolbox, you get the indicators, you get everything. So I highly recommend taking advantage of that free trial. It's 7 days. I'm not sure honestly how much longer we're going to keep it for, but I highly recommend taking advantage of it. And also, just so you guys know, the only discount that we're ever going to do is going to be the 20% off on the annual plan. So if you're waiting for a discount on Black Friday or on Christmas or on whenever, don't bother, because we're not going to have discounts. The only discount that we have is the 20% off on the annual plan. And yeah.
Someone's asking, how do they know that they're grandfathered in on future price increases?
So we will grandfather everyone who signs up now. It's just something that we've done before. And anyone who signs up now will always be grandfathered in at the price that they pay now. So if we raise prices to double what it is now, or maybe even more, you will always pay whatever you pay currently. Like our prices used to be $35 a month, and there are so many people that are still paying 35, even though because they haven't canceled, they still get everything, and everything that we include that's new, they still get access to. So it's just something that we do. We won't raise the prices on you, but we'll always grandfather you in, like out of respect for you supporting us. Like we're still very young. We launched in January, so there's still a huge roadmap for us of different features, of different customization, of like literally, I mean, I can't even begin to explain, like even out of the stuff that I've shown you here. But yeah, we always grandfather in our users. If you stay signed up, you will always maintain the price that you currently pay. The best deal is that annual plan, because it is 20% off the monthly price. So yeah, out of respect for our users, as long as you don't cancel and then resubscribe, like obviously if you cancel and then resubscribe, you're going to pay whatever the price is at the time.
All right. Anything else, guys? I guess anything else you wanted to touch on, Andre, that you haven't, or that's really the meat of it.
It's definitely the meat of it. And just the last thing I'll say for the challenges is really to focus, and I know I said this a million times, but like it's just so important. Focusing on the higher probability setups and maintaining the understanding that not every trade needs to be a win for you to be profitable. I showed you the stats for NQ, and I showed you the stats for the gap fill report. And I'll just show you again so you guys can see it one more time. This has a 53% win rate and returned 500% in the last year. That means that it won only half the time. That means every other trade was a loser. You don't need to win every trade to be successful. You just need to make sure that you capitalize on the winning trades and capitalize on the good opportunities when you see them, like today with a double break of the orb, with a gap fill, etc. These are things that just to really hammer on the fact that you can pass these prop firms, these challenges, and probably the reason that you're not is because you're not sticking to the actual odds that we're showing you. So that's really the only thing I'll say, is because I want to see people pass these challenges. I want to see people like be able to change their lives, be able to if they're in a job that they don't like, use trading as a way to get out, or as a way to support their family, as a way to like pay off their mortgages or pay their rent or whatever it is. It's like you don't need to change, you don't need to like become a billionaire from trading, but if you can use it to make an extra like few $1,000s a month, like it goes a long way. So that's what we're trying to do here. And I hope that that anyone watching this can pass their prop firm challenges and get payouts, et cetera, based on the data that we have here. So.
All right. Well, Andre, I think that's it, man. Really appreciate your time and answering all the questions and showing
Course.
us the great stuff that you guys are cooking up.
All right. Appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great day. Talk to you guys soon, hopefully.
All right. Have a good one, everyone. Peace.